Welcome to the Gary Sinise Foundation podcast. I'm your host, Cristin Bartter, and for our first season finale, things may look a little different for those of you watching. We're bringing you a unique episode from the Gary Sinise Foundation's Snowball Express annual event at the most magical place on earth, Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida. Snowball Express is our heartfelt tribute to the families of our fallen military and first responder heroes. Gary has been deeply involved with Snowball Express since 2007, and in 2018, it became an official program of the Gary Sinise Foundation. Since then, it has grown to serve the families of our fallen year-round, providing support, healing, and a sense of community. The program wraps up each year with this extraordinary annual event at Disney World, a place where new memories are made, deep connections are forged, and our mission to honor and serve these families shines the brightest. Here with me today are Corcynthia Williams and Monda Anderson, who have both experienced incredible loss and honor their heroes by sharing their stories. Thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
I'd like to start with your heroes. Can you first share their names?
It's George Casher Jr.
George Casher Jr.
Yeah.
Okay.
We call him Cash.
Oh, I like that. Cash, even better. Okay.
Timothy Justin Williams.
Timothy Justin Williams.
We called him Justin.
Justin, okay. And can you tell me why it's so important to say their names?
For me, saying his name means that he's not going to be forgotten. He still continues to live on as long as we speak his name.
I love that. Yeah.
I think it for me is so that everybody knows that there was a tremendous sacrifice, but we honor him. He deserves to be honored. He did something that is tremendous.
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody can say that they've served. So very proud of him.
I love that. I love that. I know how important that is for all of our families.
Yeah.
It's just to say it out loud. And so we try to do that at the foundation and just continually to just say their names so that they're remembered. Can you share about their service to our country?
Well, Cash was the love of life. I think he loved life tremendously, loved riding motorcycles, loved the laugh, loved the joke, loved movies. But he made a decision not to play baseball for college. He had a full scholarship for baseball.
Oh, wow.
And decided to join the military. So he joined the Navy and made a career out of it and was a radio man.
Okay.
So he was hearing all the secrets. But, but he really enjoyed his job. He really enjoyed what he did, being a leader, brother, friend. So he really loved what he did.
He was in for how long?
For almost 18 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
amazing.
he decided to go ahead and make this a career of his because he could have got out at any time, but he said, I'm going to keep going.
He loved it.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for Justin?
Justin grew up in South Georgia. He was a huge lover of all things Georgia sports.
Okay.
And he
Aren't
grew
they all?
up,
It's like in their blood.
the most loyal fan that I have
Yeah.
ever met. And he could spout off sports knowledge unlike any other human I have ever met. He was like a supercomputer when it came to sports. And he was an avid outdoorsman, so he loved camo and black and red.
Okay.
And as a little boy, he fell in love with Top Gun. And his mom told me often that he would just run around with his arms stretched out like he was a jet flying around. So he joined the Navy in 2007.
Okay.
And he went to go be a corpsman and ended up in Pensacola to be an aviation spokesman's mate handler. So he
Meant to be.
Yeah, became the guy on the flight deck doing all kinds of fun things. And he loved being with aviation.
Yeah.
He was definitely a servant leader, and he just was a force of nature when he was in and out of uniform.
Oh, I love that. They're both just kind of, like forces to be reckoned with and just loved life. I love that. So Snowball Express, what many may not know, was born out of a letter, the final letter from a service member to his family with a desire that even if he didn't return home, that his wife would take the kids to Disneyland. And so creating new and positive memories. Why is that so important in the face of such tragedy?
I think it's important because life still goes on.
Okay.
We cannot keep our head in the sand and let life go by, but we have to live. For me, my fallen told me, Cash told me, if anything ever happened to me, I want you to live life, continue to keep going. Don't stay here, but you still have so much life in you. So that's the reason why this is so important, because we still have to continue to live and make new memories.
So he had that conversation with you.
2 weeks before he passed. Yeah.
2 weeks.
2 weeks before he passed. That's what he told me. So it was kind of like a shocker when everything happened. Like, this was almost like if he knew, maybe. I'm not sure. But that's something that I would never forget, that when he told me to continue to live.
Wow.
So that's what I'm doing.
Oh, that's beautiful, but yeah. Wow.
For us, being able to make new memories allows us to realize that we are still living.
Yeah.
And we carry a piece of him everywhere that we go. He's still with us as we make these new memories. He's still together with us. It's just a little different right now.
Yeah.
So being able to go make new memories, watch the girls experience different things that maybe they wouldn't have experienced if he were even with them at times. It is truly magical to see that that connection still exists, and he's still with us even when we're making those new memories.
I love that. Yeah. They're not gone.
No.
Yeah. They're not gone at all.
And that's why we still say their name.
Yeah.
Because they are still here.
They're still here.
Right.
They're here with us.
Very much a part of our everyday life.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. So if you could share one thing about your journey as the spouse of a fallen hero, maybe something that from the outside looking in, people wouldn't understand, what would that be? I know, it's a lot. Right.
I was not prepared for how isolating it would be and how fast our community would shift. And I don't think our kids were aware of that as well. Our family went through some really traumatic things in a really short amount of time. And all of the secondary and tertiary losses that came after his death still continue to this year, 6 years out. And it is intense to sometimes feel that. And you can feel very alone. I felt very alone at various times. So being able to recognize that there were different needs and knowing that we would need that connection and rebuilding our own community, we started seeking resources out. And as soon as we found just an ounce of support, we latched on because we were enveloped in a hug that was so sorely needed.
I think that's so interesting to say, because you're right. It's not only the loss, but then it's like you're losing this community, because the military community is so like your whole world, essentially.
They hand you a flag and then they move on. They have a mission to complete. You know, it's not like they mean to do it. It's just they have a mission. I know they say there's no soldier left behind, but I felt like the family essentially was left behind. And you're left to funnel through life trying to figure things out on your own. For me, it was almost 10 years before I even had a single resource or support or even the next person that I can say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with, and how did you deal with it? I didn't have any of that. So the Gary Sinise Foundation really helped me along with that. They made a very big impact on my son and I's life. You know, I was pregnant at the time that this happened. So it was just kind of like, what do you do? Because you had an idea of how your life is supposed to pan out. You want to spend the rest of your life creating memories with your loved one, and then it abruptly just stops. So that was the grief that I dealt with, not only losing cash, but it was more of the life that we envisioned together.
Right.
Gone. And a piece of me died with him. I'll just say that. I'm no longer the same woman or the same girl. You know, when I was 28 when this happened, and I'm not that person anymore. So a part of me died along with him, and I had to grieve her too. You know, who am I now that my loved one is gone, and create my own story and my own narrative, trying to survive.
Right.
You know, we're still surviving, you know, and I could say for now, I feel like I'm thriving now, but it was a lot of times I was just going through the motions, just trying to make the ends meet one day to the next, not trying to lose it.
Right.
Holding all those feelings that's bottled up, but remaining sane so you can function in an everyday world that doesn't realize that there's this loss here that I cannot explain how deeply that hurts.
Yeah, the term surviving spouse is definitely, it holds true. When the moment he died, I went into survival mode, absolutely. Okay. And if it weren't for the community, the people that are safe to be able to come back around us, I don't know where I'd be standing here today, the same person. I'm definitely not the same person, but I would not be standing on any footing that would be solid.
What we spoke about earlier before the cameras came on, it was something about like you're mourning the loss of not only your loss, but you're also mourning the loss of like this, you know, what you had in mind. And And that's just, it's from the outside looking in, you wouldn't really see that.
Correct.
No, I think too with young children, our girls were 3, 8, and 9 when their dad died. And every age and stage that our kids have experienced, every new milestone is just another drop in the echo chamber that he's not there for them. And that has been deafening sometimes, that ringing. And through the Gary Sinise Foundation, we've been able to have a new community that comes alongside us, that they get it. We don't have to explain ourselves here. And when we have a need and we can express that need, there is a resource, a person, a connection that is able to not fill that void, because it can never be filled, but hold that space to help us safely navigate and feel what we need to feel, and then find a way to choose to keep moving forward.
I love that. That leads me to my next question. So how important is the Gary Sinise Foundation Snowball Express program to you?
Again, like I said, I'm not surviving, I'm thriving. Like,
Makes my heart so happy.
I can't. It was a very dark place. Very dark. I'm not gonna lie, I walked through the door here at the resort and saw all of these families and was like, hey, green shirt, red shirt, blue shirt, black shirt, somebody put me back on the bus to go back home, because it was just so much. And I didn't know a single soul. And sometimes you see some families hugging on each other because they haven't seen them in a year or so, but my son and I had nobody. But there was this one family that let us sit with them for dinner for the first night, and we were like, hey, we're going to be the extra family that hangs out with you an entire week. But they are literally our families till this day, and that's almost 5 years out, since we had, since I've been involved with the Gary Sinise Foundation. But for 5 years, I've had close connections with people. I mean, meeting people through different types of programs, empowerment workshops, or, the speaker cohort program. We're learning to, I guess we're meeting each other, and we're saying, I see you, I hear you, and I am a safe place for you to sit here and just cry, sneeze, snot, yell, whatever it is. I got you, so it's something that it's an understanding that we don't have to really speak about, but it is important, because connection is important, and we don't want anybody left behind. We don't.
Yeah. Trauma and loss are so isolating, and in connection is where I found healing and growth. The Snowball Express community through the Gary Sinise Foundation is how we started to find that footing again, to be able to take a breath and just kind of reevaluate and reassess, and want to say that there is such good in our lives still, even though there's heaviness and darkness and grief. The Snowball Express community came into our lives during the pandemic, actually.
Okay.
And as things started opening back up, the kids and I went to an event nearby at a theme park in our area at Hershey Park. And that was the first time that we actually got to interact with the Gary Sinise Foundation. And from that interaction, my kids knew that there was a program and an organization that was going to be there for them. Coming to Disney in December, our first time in 22, was absolutely overwhelming. I mean, shell-shocked the moment you get on the bus and you get to the resort and there's people cheering for you. My youngest at the time was 7 and just frozen still on the bus, unable to move forward. And there was someone that was a young adult in the alumni program that instantly recognized that there was one child still standing on the bus. And I'm at the steps trying to get her to come forward and say, come on, come on. And she's just frozen in fear. And this young person came on board, asked if she could grab her, picked her up. And carried her to one of the sensory rooms where a compassionate and professional mental health provider was sitting there waiting. And that room became the sanctuary for this little girl. And I had fought for 4 years to get mental health help for my kids. And it was just a roadblock at every turn. And in that instance, we had a safe place, a little sanctuary, a little safe harbor. And from there, she began to be able to branch out and connect with others. And I watched her blossom. And before we left Orlando, we had counseling services set up and an appointment scheduled for the week after.
Oh my goodness.
So the Gary Sinise Foundation and the Snowball Express Disney in December transformed my household at home and gave us a safe harbor here in Orlando.
Disney in December is, as you mentioned, a huge event and just massive. We have over 1,700 surviving children and spouses of our fallen military here right now. And then in next week, we're going to have over 1,000 surviving children and spouses of our fallen first responders. And so it's epic beyond proportions. But what many people might not know is that, as you had touched on, is that we host events all year round, often smaller. Can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I mentioned that we went to a regional event in Pennsylvania, and that was a really exciting and unique opportunity. Mm-hmm. Through the foundation, there are workshops for family members, such as empowerment workshops, storytelling workshops. There's so many resources and different activities and programs, community events that you can do even from the comfort of your own home through the foundation, which we've taken part of, and they've been so much fun.
Yeah. Can you tell about the importance of those smaller community events?
For me, is that there are people nearby that are literally within, I guess, either 2-hour radius or 2-mile radius that we've made connections with within our own city, which makes it pretty cool because my son is saying, hey, there's somebody goes to my school and they're just like me.
Yeah.
And we need to know that they're there, and they need to know that we're here as well. So we're here to support, hang out, and again, you're building lifelong bonds and friendships and relationships that is much needed, especially in our community.
Right. Yeah.
You realize you're not alone.
Perfectly said. Yeah. And that there are people you're building your little group, your little support group. I love that. Can you share what your experience was coming to this event, Disney in December, for the first time?
The very first time was incredibly overwhelming. I mean, before we even stepped off the bus, we had that interaction. Right. And then as I had that safe harbor, I was able to just be completely awestruck. There is such a magic in the love that you walk right into the moment you get to the airport in your city that you're originating from. There is just this warmth of love and acceptance, and it's a moment to take a breath and just kind of drop your shoulders a little bit and get a little comfortable, and then just experience all that there is. There's so much to do for the kids. It was the first time that I felt like my kids were in a safe place, that I could just go have a conversation with another parent or a guardian and really get to talk about my husband and what I was experiencing. If I needed to take a moment to recharge, I could go to get a massage for a moment, or go to the DIY room and make a craft, which is something that I really enjoy doing.
I love it.
I could go sit outside and just soak up some sun, which we don't get in Pennsylvania in the winter. Or I could go take a moment to pause and honor and reflect and enter a sacred space to meet my husband internally. So there's a little bit of everything that happens here. There's so much on the property that it is truly a safe harbor.
I love that.
For me, it's the connections, but seeing the smile on my son's face, connecting with other kids, is something that I want to make friends. He wants to make friends. My son was 8 when we attended this, attended Snowball in 2018. And we didn't know that many people, so he wasn't really hanging out with a lot of kids. This year, I think I've seen my kid maybe twice. But I'm happy to see him in a distance, smiling and connecting and swapping phone numbers, even if they live in Tennessee or Georgia. But those are lifelong connections he gets to make, and I'm hoping maybe he comes back and he returns as a volunteer himself, where he can reach down, pull up. And that's really what it is you're putting your hand out to reach out to somebody to say, no, I got you. And it's going to be okay. And if I can get through it, you can get through it too. So just a little beacon of hope and light, just for everybody to connect and say that we're doing this together and you're not alone.
Yeah. What was the experience like for your children?
My girls had varying experiences. The younger one needed a little bit of a quieter space, and then warmed up and went into the kids' lounge and just had an absolute blast. Before I knew it, she was running around, and I was able to just take a step back. My teen made amazing connections with friends that she still remains in touch with today. And they kind of created their own little posse. And with the safety of the moms kind of being around and the other volunteers and the people that were there with them, they just got to be kids, which they often don't get to do when they're at home because they're known as the kid that doesn't have their dad or, you know, the circumstances of all of their loss. But they just get to be kids here, and that's honored and it's protected. And they get to make magical new memories and awesome connections.
I love that. So beyond visiting the parks, which is incredibly fun, it's so much more than that, isn't it?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's just deeper.
Right.
Yeah. So what does it mean, and you've touched on this, so what does it mean to you to see your children connecting, as you kind of said, with other children who've experienced a similar loss?
To me, it's like, I know he's going to be fine. Because I think that's a concern as a parent.
Okay.
If my kid is going to be okay. Because maybe there are some things he doesn't discuss with me. You know, like I said, I was pregnant, so he never met his father. So there's still that space of, I miss my dad, or he'll say, I miss my dad. He'll say certain things like, I miss my dad, or I wish I would have met my dad. But then there are other children here that he's connected with that didn't meet their dad as well. So that makes it okay that they have these conversations they can have on their own, that I don't necessarily have to be involved with it, but he can open up and share that space with somebody that's safe and they have an understanding. And for me, that's okay. I know he's going to be okay. And I feel like I've done my job. I've done my job as mom. You're going to be fine.
Yeah.
They're resilient. They're very resilient, and they're going to be good. They're going to be absolutely good. As long as this foundation is here, they're going to be absolutely good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes. For me, watching the girls here gives me hope for their future. The Gary Sinise Foundation opened up that door and planted that seed of hope in each and every one of us as not only a family, but as individuals. And I see it in all the other families. And as we come back year after year or in the community events, I see those sprouts growing bit by bit, year by year. There is such an amazing opportunity for growth when you are in a safe place full of amazing humans that share common interest and love and bonds.
Yeah.
And there's a true mission and service, and the families here, my family here, is grown immensely in the last few years simply because of our involvement with the Gary Sinise Foundation.
I love that. Can you share a little bit about the walk of gratitude?
A bucket full of tears.
For everybody.
As soon as they start singing that song, You'll Be in My Heart, I lose it. Because one, that was me and Cash's song. But we both love movies, but that was one of the, I promise he would play the Phil Collins song. And I'm like, well, how do you know this guy? But anyway, as soon as they start singing it, it's just, I'm not good. But it's a good cry, you know, because they will be in our heart. But just to see the volunteers clapping on at the sides of the streets and just, it's the walk of gratitude. I'm grateful that people see us, because again, it's almost like we've been forgotten. I have people in my life that say, "Oh, I forgot that happened to me," you know, because I don't talk about it all the time. I talk about it here, or you know, I share my story elsewhere. But some people just forget. It's out of sight, out of mind for them. Where we're living this every single day. So just to have somebody to say thank you for your service, because we did sacrifice and we did serve alongside our fallen. Is thank you for seeing us, because it's been a lonely road. It's been a lonely road.
The walk of gratitude, to me, there's hardly words to describe the feelings and emotions that come from the moment you leave here. You know what you're heading towards and the magic that the Magic Kingdom offers, and Main Street is transformed into this beautiful snow globe.
There's snow. They do snow. They have a marching parade, and they all come out.
Honors are rendered to our heroes, and there's this beautiful tension that happens that's so cathartic. And you've written your scrolls and you've rolled them up and distributed them to the cast members, and then you all gather together. I sob hysterically at the performances as well. And then there's just cheering and magic walking towards this beautiful castle. The performance that Disney puts on at the end too is just such a beautiful way of reminding us that we just have to ring a bell and send a message to our hero. It's a practice that now my kids use at home even. They will write letters to their dad and they'll ring the bell. It's something that we've carried forward with us.
That's beautiful. That it's just, it came home too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It gave them a way to feel connected to their dad.
Right. He's still there.
Every day.
Yeah. Can you share with our listeners about the Remembrance Garden?
It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, before you even walk into the Remembrance Garden, there's a wall with every single name and year and when they passed. So, and it's the boots with the
soldier's
helm,
cross.
the soldier's cross that's right before you walk in. But when you walk in there, it's like a row of flags in alphabetical order of every single family that's here. Their flag is there with their names, and you see the letters and the pendants and different types of things that the children have left behind. And the sounds of water. It's very peaceful, but like I said, it's like sacred. You have to respect the room. Like, you have to respect the room because you can feel I can't even describe that feeling, but it's a heaviness, but a good heaviness, but it's time for us to stand in front of my husband's flag and just say, thank you. I miss you. I wish you were here to see your son grow, But it's also being able to stand alongside my friends and being there and supporting them as well as we honor. We're honoring and we're not going to forget you, but it's a beautiful room. Beautiful room. I'm very thankful for that room.
Oh, me too.
I get teared up every time I walk into it, but I'm very thankful for that room and the time and the effort that they put to have that for us. It took a lot of time and dedication for that, and I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. For me, as you approach the room, there's a reverence that's held there. It feels as though the veil is thin. And as you meander through this row of American flags, and you see every family that's represented there, every hero that's honored, in the quietness and the peacefulness, it's a safe place to feel whatever needs to be felt. I know the girls and I have sat at that base of that flag in the past, and we will write our scrolls, and we will talk about what we love about him, what we miss about him, and our dreams for the future with him. It looks a little different, but the Remembrance Garden is the safe place to go. It is the place to not only honor our loved one, but to say a prayer for every single family as we walk by each and every name. Because the weight of that room shows the cost of what it means to keep our nation free and safe. And it is the beauty of that space to pause and honor and know how much was given out of love.
Beautifully said. I like how you said sacred space and how the veil is thin. They're right there. How does it impact your kids?
For my girls, they are slow to go into it because it feels almost we have an American flag that's folded sitting on our mantle that covered their dad's casket. So for us, the flag will never be the same. It holds such a different weight to it because it was the last thing that draped over him. So to see them all standing there, you know what it is. It takes them a little bit to feel comfortable, to be ready and prime themselves to go into such an overwhelming experience of seeing not just our folded flag. Now here they are on display, and you're surrounded as you go, but not in an overpowering way, in such a comforting and almost like you've been blanketed in that flag yourself. We go in there and we just get to be, it doesn't feel like you're sitting in a convention center with over 1,700 family members and hundreds of volunteers. You are in an oasis of a place that you can just be, and then you can collect yourself and walk back out and do whatever you want to do here.
Yeah.
So this year, Cash's mother is chaperoning my son, and it took her a minute to go in there, but I knew when she came out, I was like, yep, you're feeling exactly, what I felt as many years as I've come back to see this room. But it's allowed her an opportunity to say what she needs to say, because she lives in Columbus and he was buried in Virginia. So she couldn't come to the gravesite. You know, she's not able to lay the wreaths, you know, at the VA cemetery, you know, in December. But it's almost like her place to lay her wreath for her son. So I'm very thankful for that room. You know, like I said, the time and the effort that it took to put into it, but the fact that I can share this with my mom in love, you know, so that she can experience what we experience here too.
Yeah. It's so healing. It's a lot, but I love that it's so healing for everybody and for you all. Well, I actually have a surprise for you. Surprise!
Hello. It's Monda and Corcynthia.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Thank you so much.
Oh
my God.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi, Gary.
How are you?
How are you?
Has Cristin been keeping you busy?
Yes.
Perfect timing.
You're having a little podcast thing.
I love your face. He's going to join us for a second.
Oh,
Middle, and then, yeah.
You're gonna meet in the middle.
No, you're in the middle.
Okay,
He's
let's go.
going to
Let's go.
Yep,
Right there. That's great. Thank you.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
Well, how's it been going?
Wait a minute, Kip. I'm gonna need a minute.
Have you been having a good time with this?
Yes.
This has been amazing. Truly a dream come true.
Fantastic. Great. So far, the event,
Perfect.
A-okay.
Absolutely beautiful.
Have you been to the event before?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. How many times?
So one time as an actual family, but then I've been volunteering for the organization ever since.
Well,
Yeah, we got it in.
thank you. And
Our
you know,
first
we've
time.
met before.
Yes, sir, we have. And 22 was our first time, and we came last year.
Fantastic. Well, it's pretty good deal, huh?
Yes.
The highlight of our year. It carries us forward, definitely.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I've taken over.
I'm like, should we switch?
Okay, I'm a guest. I'm a guest on the couch.
You are a guest. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And so I have a question for you is, why is it so important to support the families of our fallen?
Why? Well, to me, it's everything. With so many veterans in my family and so many folks that I know who have served in the military, so many people that I've met over the years who have served and sacrificed in so many ways, it became clear to me that there was just something that I should do. You know, it's just something that I think all Americans should have some responsibility for, and that's taking care of our defenders and taking care of their families, and you know, so that you all know that you know what you've been through and what you go through, what your children go through, what your families go through, the loss that you've suffered, and all of that is never taken for granted or unappreciated. You know, there was a time when, with Vietnam veterans in my own family, there was a time where our veterans came home and they weren't appreciated. They didn't get the support they needed, and that was a terrible period in our country, and we don't want that to happen again. So, having met so many, you know, families who have been through so much, and over many years, it just became clear there was something I could do and something I should do. And because it was important, you know. Memorial Day, I do that concert on the mall by the Capitol every year, and that's always just a very special time to remind people that for the families of our fallen, and that every day is a day of remembrance, you know. And that we never forget. And when we lose somebody, you know, it's hard. It's hard. And knowing that you're loved and knowing that people wrap their arms around you and that they recognize what you're going through, that can help us all through our, you know, our tough times, right? So I've seen that. I've seen it many times. And I, you know, after seeing it many times and seeing what it does when you just show up to pat somebody on the back and give them a hug and all that kind of stuff, that can mean a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I know it's meant that for me, you know, during tough times, and I can see what it does when I show up and try to provide some services. Now we have this big foundation with lots of things going on, and this is our big annual event down here at Disney World, where a lot of us get to come together and do that. You know, remember and love on each other, and that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah. For you both, do you have a favorite memory and experiencing Disney in December?
Oh, favorite memory.
Or a most meaningful one?
I think, oh gosh.
To me, it's the walk of gratitude.
Is it?
That's like my favorite memory. Just like I said, it's a sense of people saying thank you for your service, because I don't know if people think that we're serving too. You know, when your husband is deployed and you have to manage a household and try to figure out things and then welcome them back home and then try to get back into the routine, like, we're serving too. That's not an easy job, and we do it with love in our hearts. So just to hear a thank you, or we see you, you know, I felt unseen for years. And like I said, for 10 years, I didn't have a support system. I didn't even know about this organization. So I almost felt like, well, I've done my son a disservice, not even looking for something else to kind of help us out. But that's when I'm like, thank you.
We wanted it to be a secret.
Okay. but thank you.
So it would be a big surprise later on.
Yeah.
We're building it up, you know?
But that would be my favorite memory. It would be the walk of gratitude and seeing all the smiles on people's faces.
And that song.
Yeah, and that song breaks me down every time.
Every single time.
Yeah.
Every time. Just
Cash
get your
letting you
Kleenex
know.
ready.
Yes. I don't want to piggyback and say the walk of gratitude, but that is my favorite part.
It is,
I think my favorite memory would be last year, watching the girls just experience everything that Snowball Express has to offer. We were in a different position that year. The first year we had a huge posse of families that we kind of got together with, and that's how we experienced every aspect of the event. And last year, a lot of them weren't with us. We had asked for help through the foundation for park helpers, and we were connected with 3 amazing humans that made the park so enjoyable for us.
Oh, good.
And they were lining the streets of Main Street during the Walk of Gratitude, and then we got to experience the castle all together.
Yeah.
But they're a family that we've stayed connected with throughout the year. And they're here volunteering again this year. And I got to see them this year and FaceTime the girls, and they got to just cry and send their love. And so my favorite aspect outside of the Walk of Gratitude is just coming back and getting those hugs. Because in our rural area of Pennsylvania, we don't have that same level of support. We kind of fly under the radar, and at times that's okay. But here, we're just enveloped and loved on, and it fills my cup back up for the rest of the year.
Yeah. There's over 2,000 volunteers.
It's absolutely amazing.
Can you believe that? Yeah. That just come over here and they just want to wrap their arms around you and uplift you.
I'm so grateful for every single person that pours into this event. It makes a difference. It truly makes a life-saving difference.
Yeah. So, Gary, Lieutenant Dan Band concert is the big culmination at the end. What is your hope? What is your message of hope that you like to give to the families?
Well, I think by the time they get to my band, I think they know what the message is.
Oh, they do.
So my band wraps up everything.
Yeah.
And you know, by the time they get there, I think they've had the experience of a lifetime, and they've seen the gratitude and appreciation that people have for them. And I just get to wrap it up nice and tidy there with some good music and give everybody a good time. Yeah. But I always like to leave them with, you know, I always have a little message at the end. And it's just to remind people, you know, that when they go home, just remember what this was about, and carry that with them. Like you said, you know, it can be re-energizing because you connect with so many different people who are going through the same thing, but also so many people who want to help you through, you know, and that can make a world of difference. This is our 19th year of Snowball, which
Amazing.
is pretty incredible. And I remember what it was like for me in the beginning, and the impact that it had on me, and the impact that I could see that it was having on everybody else, and that just made me want to come back again and again. And that's why you see so many of these volunteers. They, once they come into some of our programs here, and this is a special one, of course, it's good to give, and they feel it, and they feel that they've made a difference, and they want to come back and do it again. And that's a good thing.
That was one of the reasons why I came back as a volunteer. After my first year of attending, I was like, I want to make sure every family experience at least something that I experienced, and to at least give them hope of just don't listen to that voice inside you that's telling you to leave like mine did. Because I was really about to leave. Like, I'm just send me back home. But the opportunity just to connect with so many families, and it's almost like a family reunion when you come back. The hugs that we get, the hugs that we give, it's like it's coming from a real place. And it's Christmas. It's the Christmas time where it can be the most sombering time of the year when you lost somebody, because you really want your whole family to be there. But Gary, thank you. All I can say is thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a thank you, because it's, like I said, when you feel like nobody sees you, they can put you in a really dark place. And it was a long time, so thanks.
Where do you live?
Virginia.
In Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Are you one of the few families there then?
No, I'm in Norfolk, so Virginia Beach area. So I actually, through volunteering, has met so many families that are in the area that we do connect, and that's even outside of the community events. It's just
that's important. Once the organization came into the Gary Sinise Foundation, we wanted to expand it. We had the ability to raise more money to do more things, and so we wanted to expand and do these community events throughout the year, make it a more of a so you're not just waiting for one event, even though this event is great and everything like that, but we're thinking about you all year round, all year long, and we have the American people who are supporting our foundation so that we can pass that on, make sure you're not forgotten when you leave Disney World.
Right.
It's an important thing. Yeah. So we'll look forward to the next time.
Yeah. So, what does the Gary Sinise Foundation mean to you?
Family.
Yeah.
It is family. Family connections, making new memories, and honoring my fallen Petty Officer George Casher Jr. So that's what it means to me. I get to do all of those things with no shame.
And for me, it has filled me with hope again. I feel a lightness and an encouragement. I am able to serve other families through the Gary Sinise Foundation and my community. I'm able to make new memories with my children and honor my fallen hero, Petty Officer First Class Timothy Justin Williams.
I love that. Well, thank you both so much for being here, and thank you, Gary, for surprising them. And
my
we
pleasure.
will never forget your heroes.
Thank you for remembering them.
Yeah, always, always. Your strength and resilience are a true inspiration. And as we do with every podcast episode, Mac will close out the show, and we'll see you next season.
You've been listening to GSF Podcast, the official podcast of the Gary Sinise Foundation. If you'd like to find out more about what the foundation is up to, or if you'd like to make a donation, please visit GarySiniseFoundation.org. Make sure to tune in next time for more interviews, and thanks for joining us.